If you live anywhere in eastern North America, up as far north as Newfoundland and Labrador, all the way down to Florida, and as far west as Texas, there's a plant that grows in the forest called Partridgeberry that is a really good one to know. Today what I want to do is take you on a little tour of the Partridgeberry and talk about how to identify it, its edible and medicinal qualities. And one of the things that's kind of cool about the Partridgeberry plant is that it comes from the madder family, and so it's not a super common family of plants to find in more northern areas. And so this is a good opportunity to learn about that family of plants. And it's kind of just a good plant to know. In some places it can be quite common, and the berries are edible. So this plant is pretty easy to identify. It grows in the forest, on the forest floor, beneath the cover of trees. It is a vine, but it's not a climbing vine. So it sort of creeps along the ground, and it actually, these little leaf nodules, if they come in contact with the ground, will root quite readily. And so that's often a way that it's propagated. But it also self-propagates in that way. But as you can see, some of the distinguishing characteristics to look for are these opposite leaves coming off the main stalk of the vine, and leaves in sets of two. The leaves themselves, one of the things that always really stands out to me is the strongly visible pattern of the veins, that they're usually this one that comes right up through the center is quite white in color, and the veining structure of this plant is just very obvious and easy to see. The other thing is, in this case, we are looking at the berry. It's got these two little holes coming off the berry, and this is because when this plant flowers in sort of late spring, early summer, it's got these two white flowers that come off the stem right at the center of the leaf nodes there. The flowers are white with 4 petals, and the petals are unified, so you can count them as individuals, but if you look at them carefully, you'll see that they're all actually fused together before they connect into the branch. But what happens is, as the flowers get pollinated and then they start to mature and develop into berries, they actually fuse into one berry, and that's why it has these sort of two little holes here. But it also happens to be a great clue for identification, because it's not a very common trait to see that. And the berries are really, they're edible. They're not bad tasting. They don't have like a really strong flavor. I would say the flavor is somewhat similar to like a wintergreen berry, actually, which here they are growing right next to wintergreen, and they share kind of the same habitat. But I would say they're less flavorful than wintergreen. A lot of people describe them as bland. I still find it quite a good berry to have. It's got seeds in it that are kind of crunchy. And, you know, if you're out in the forest, and if you ever were to find yourself in a survival situation, or if you're just out for a hike and you want a little snack, you can find some partridge berries, and they're not hugely abundant. You know, you're not gonna get a ton of them, but I can sort of look around, and there's one right there, there's one in there, there's a couple hiding, 2 or 3, 4 hiding over there. And so if you find a place that does have partridgeberry growing, you can gather up a nice handful. So as I mentioned before, these are in a family of plants called the madder family. It's not a super common family of plants to find in the northern areas. Most of the examples in the madder family, they're more like subtropical or tropical plants, but there are a few that have come up into North America. The other one that's kind of pretty common is cleavers or bedstraw. So if you know cleavers or bedstraw, and you get a chance to go when it's blooming, go look at the flower of the cleavers and study that flower, and then come and find partridgeberry and look at the flower of the partridgeberry, and you'll notice that their structures are very similar. They're very similar in how they grow, and a kind of cool thing about this family is that coffee actually comes from the madder family. And so this very common drink, this thing that people drink every day, comes from the same family of plants as this partridgeberry. It does also go by lots of different names, so not everyone calls it partridgeberry. It kind of depends on where you're coming from, and some of the more like traditional names for it. It just depends on what people are using. It is also called twinberry, which can refer to a few different plants. I suspect that the reason some people call it that is because it's got those twin flowers that merge into this berry with the twin little holes in them. It's a pretty important identification feature. But it's also, I saw a reference that some people even will call this cranberry, which could be very misleading because what people typically think of as cranberries is a completely different plant from this. It's in a different family and it tastes different. It's really a completely different plant. And so I call them partridgeberry. That tends to be the most universally recognized name for this plant. They are sometimes used by wildlife, like partridges and pheasants. I could see eating these, but really, I mean, if I come into a forest that has partridgeberries growing, they are an evergreen vine that moves along the forest floor and spreads out and makes a carpet. And I can come out in February, March, April, and these berries will still be here. So they're not overly used by wildlife, as the name might suggest. However, that said, they are quite healthy, and there's been some studies done recently on the partridgeberry looking into its medicinal qualities. It has traditionally been used for pregnancy. The references that I found said that people would use it to ensure a healthy pregnancy and to help with childbirth. So there was actually one study I found where they were testing on, I think it was mice, and they found something about like the uterine contractions were actually stronger when they were given this plant. So that is traditionally how it's been used. Obviously, if you're going to use this plant in any sort of medicinal way, do a lot of research first, talk to your doctor, make sure that what you're doing is safe and a good idea for you to do it. But it's kind of cool just to know that it does have a history of being used in this way. I wouldn't try to make partridgeberry like a dominant part of your diet, but if you're out in the woods and you see it growing there, it's a great one to just, pick some berries and have a healthy snack. And it can be a survival food and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good one to know. In places where it grows, it can be quite abundant. If you see this plant, get to know it, spend some time with it. If you do have this plant growing in your area, I would love to know what is your location and how common is it there, and do you use this plant? And I think it would just be really interesting to know where this plant is commonly being used by folks. So it's a good one to keep your eyes out for. It likes mossy areas. It likes, obviously, the forest floor. We're underneath, pine trees and oaks and poplar. So I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to say about partridgeberry. I just wanted to do a profile on this plant and make sure everyone's aware of its existence. It's a good one to learn a new plant family, the madder family. And thanks for watching.